I'm Tavis Smiley. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Our phone number 1-800-920-1580, 1-800-920-1580. So glad to have you in with us in this hour. And in this hour, how to human. How to human. 3 ways to share life beyond what distracts, divides, and disconnects us. We will talk with Carlos Whitaker about how we can refuse to let disagreements define us, how we can say no to being perennially upset, rage-filled humans, how we can become builders, not demolitionists. I am pleased to welcome the author of How to Human, 3 Ways to Share Life Beyond What Distracts, Divides, and Disconnects Us, Carlos Whitaker. Carlos Whitaker, how are you today, sir?
I am so honored to be on with you. How are you doing, Tavis?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm delighted to have you on with us today. I'm glad we have an hour and a lot to talk about in this hour. And I'm just delighted that again you've taken the time to join us. Congrats on the new book.
Absolutely.
And again, a lot here to unpack. So let's get started. Let me start with this. It seems to me, Carlos, that we are more, and by we I mean all of us. We are, for a lot of reasons, as human beings, a lot more agitated, perhaps more agitated than ever before. I see evidence of that everywhere I look. When I'm in traffic in Los Angeles, when everywhere I go, somebody, people have attitudes. They got issues. We're all agitated about something now more than ever. That's my read. What say you about that reality?
Well, first and foremost, saying that you are in traffic in Los Angeles gives you a whole other reason to be agitated, unlike the rest of America. So I know you're dealing with things differently than we are, but you know what? It's true. We are we feel, I think, collectively as the human race, we've gone through collective trauma together the last 3 years. You know, like every single one of us from 2020 until today have gone through collective trauma together. And whenever that happens, right, you talk to any therapist, whenever somebody goes through trauma, their emotions are bigger, they're more reactive in a lot of situations. And so, I would first and foremost say, yes, like this is not something that maybe we're just imagining. It actually is true that we are more traumatized as a culture, as a collective human species than we've ever been before. And so that's why I feel like it's important to have these conversations on purpose.
What do you, and we are having it on purpose, and I'm glad that we are. Let me probe that as you'll learn from my style of conversation. I believe in following the guest, and I'm going to follow you all throughout this conversation, and we're going to cover a lot in this hour.
Love it.
But when you use the phrase collective trauma, that jumps out at me because there are a number of ways to read that, and I've had these conversations at various iterations of my broadcast career about what it means and why it, in fact, seems to take America going through all kind of hell for us to realize our better angels. It's like we just can't seem to do it because it's the right thing to do. We just have to go through all kind of drama to bring out oftentimes the best in us. How do you read, having said that, how do you read the way we have processed or not the collective trauma that we've all gone through together, rich, poor, black, white, red, brown, or yellow, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, male, female, gay, straight, Jew, Gentile, all of us have gone through this collective trauma for the last few years. Are we the better for it? How do you read what we've gone through together?
I feel that's a great question. First of all, I feel like we are we're at a defining decision point. I feel like we can, at this point, go like, you know what, we are going to make this better, or we are going to allow us to be more rage filled. And what I'm finding, Tavis, is that I am seeing as I travel and I speak and as I do what I do on social media, that there's more and more people coming from various viewpoints of different issues that actually are tired of hating each other. And I know that may sound like a Sunday school answer. That may sound like, no, that actually is not what I see. But I am actually seeing it. I'm seeing people that come from different walks of life that are like, you know what? I know that I may vehemently disagree with you on this certain thing, but I am so tired of looking at you like you yourself are the enemy. And so, I think we're at a deciding point. We're at a tipping point where we can say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And there's a phrase that I use in my book. We can talk about it an hour later, but I say it this way when people ask me all the time, Carlos, where do you stand on that issue? And I feel like the tipping point we can get to is I answer this way every time. Well, I don't stand on issues. I walk with people. I don't stand on issues. I walk with people. And these people, they don't want to hear that, because what they want to hear is they want to hear me make a statement that can allow them to either hate me or follow me. And I'm not going to give them that benefit. I'm not going to allow them to make their decision based on one statement. But what they can do is they can walk with me, and I can walk with them. And in spite of what I believe about, listen, I'm very opinionated. I got a lot of opinions. I believe that there's a lot of very important issues. But what I'm not going to do, and what I feel like collectively we need to stop doing, is looking at an opinion and not realizing that opinion or issue is actually a human being that's being affected by that thing. And so I'm trying to help people not stand on issues, but walk with people. And when we do that, I feel like we can start walking towards some healing, walking towards some freedom, instead of continuing to walk towards the disaster that we've been living in for far too long.
It's a powerful frame that you don't stand on issues, you walk with people. I love it. I want to interrogate it as we move forward in this hour. But I love the frame, number one. Number two, it must be one of those days, because I found myself in our first hour today wrestling with, respectfully and lovingly, but wrestling with our guest about this notion of human suffering that shows up in the homelessness that we are facing here in L.A., where this radio station is flagshipped, and others across the country, of course, in big cities and small towns dealing with homelessness issues as well. And the guest in our first hour today, Carlos, suggested that she believes that most of us see homelessness. We see these homeless encampments as a crisis, to be sure, but her belief was that we mostly see this as human suffering. And I pressed her on that notion of whether or not she truly believed that most of us see these homeless persons in these encampments first and foremost as humans who are suffering. I'm not sure I believe that. She and I went back and forth on that in hour one. It was a great conversation. Now here you come in hour two telling me that you think that most people are tired of hating each other. And you know I'm going to interrogate that as well when we come forward with Carlos Whitaker, author of the book, How to Human, 3 Ways to Share Life Beyond What Distracts, Divides, and Disconnects Us. He's on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Good thing we've got 3 hours.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Everyone needs health insurance, and you can sign up for it through Cover California. It's a free service from the state that helps you find and pay for health insurance. We work with brand name companies to offer quality plans that cover preventive care, doctor visits, emergency care, and more. You'll even be able to find out how much financial help is available for you. Many who enroll with us pay as low as $0 per month. Regardless of how much you make, you should go to coveredca.com and see how we can help you. Cover California, this way to health insurance. Enrollment ends January 31st.
Thinking about hosting a podcast and don't know where to start? Morris Media Studios has you covered. We're a professional podcast and voiceover studio located in Leimert Park. We specialize in recording and live streaming audio and video podcasts. Let us help you set up, record, and distribute your podcast. Hosting a podcast is a great way to bring awareness to your business, product, or good cause. For more info, visit morrismediastudios.com or give us a call at 323-815-4204.
Every pro is an MVP to us. As a Lowe's MVP's Rewards member, you can earn bonus points when you shop select products and brands. Then redeem them for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, e-gift cards, and more. Join today to become a member and start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points for details.
That was another way. I would smoke once an hour. That didn't work either. All that would happen at some point of the day, I would end up doubling up. Other ways that I tried to quit was I stopped buying cigarettes totally. But if I took 3 puffs off of 15 friends, those didn't count because they weren't my cigarettes and they weren't full cigarettes. I went through a lot.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
You're the victim of a car accident. Who goes to bat for you is crucial. We're MVP Accident Attorneys, the personal injury pros. Hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. When it comes to getting the maximum compensation you deserve, our team hits it out of the park. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for a free case review. Call 833-MVP-WINS.
Call on me, your MVP.
As a Walgreens pharmacist, I talk with people all the time about little tips and tricks for filling their Medicare prescriptions, like taking advantage of Walgreens 90-day refills to save them a trip, or using Refill by Scan, which is super easy and right on your phone. And for anybody worried about prescription costs, I say, hey, we got you, with low-cost copays on many medications.
Let's talk about making things easier. Walgreens is here. Fill your way and save at walgreens.com/Medicare. See pharmacists for restrictions and exclusions.
Interrogating your assumptions and expanding your inventory of ideas. Let's get back to Tavis Smiley on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to Carlos Whitaker on KBLA Talk 1580. His book is out. It's called How to Human. 3 Ways to Share Life Beyond What Distracts, Divides, and Disconnects Us. A powerful book, and I'm delighted to have him on for the hour to interrogate a lot of what he says in this book, which I think is beautiful stuff that we can all benefit from. But moments ago, he suggested to me that he believes, and he's saying in his work and witness, that many of us, most people, as he put it, are tired of hating each other. We're tired of this rancor, again, that distracts and divides and disconnects us. And I want to know where Carlos has been hanging out. Because wherever that is, I want to be. I want to hang out with Carlos to meet these people, because maybe I'm just hanging out in the wrong spaces, man. On top of that, maybe I'm hanging out in the wrong spaces and looking in the wrong places, because when I look at our politics, and again, you can indict this. I'm happy to hear your response, obviously. When I look at our politics are now more divisive than ever. And so maybe I'm looking in the wrong place or hanging out in the wrong space. But where are these millions of Americans, these fellow citizens who you have discovered, who are tired of the hate, tired of the vitriol, because the data doesn't seem to suggest that? Data can be wrong, so I'll shut up. You tell me, Carlos Whitaker.
Good, Tavis. So here's the thing. Data is showing us that, yes, things are becoming more rage-filled, more divisive, and all these things. But there ain't no data showing us our souls. And there's not data that can literally show us the exhaustion that we are feeling as we are being placed in front of us. Again, these politicians, you're 100% right. Listen, I was glued to C-SPAN watching the chaos that was them trying to put another Speaker of the House in there. They're fighting with each other, and it's rage-filled, and it's good TV. And we're attracted to trauma, right? Like it's the same reason why news stations, are they lead with, at least, this is the data that I heard in the 90s. They would always lead with horrible stories because that's what people would want to watch. We love watching train wrecks. We love watching these things.
Still do.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that we're not exhausted by it and not frayed by it. And let me give you a clear example.
Sure.
I lean left as anyone in my family, or I live in Nashville, Tennessee, as anyone in my community does, right? But what I have realized is I'm surrounded by a bunch of white conservative Southerners. That's like who I live around. That is who I'm in relationships with, and I'm completely opposite from them. And the thing that I've realized is they are coming to me so exhausted from listening to the same people telling them every single day on their podcast and on their, conservative radio stations, on things, that I am the enemy, because this is what they've learned. They're like, wait a second, they're talking about my friend Carlos. They're just not putting a name on him because they're just saying that this woke whatever is the enemy. But I know him, and I actually see something different in him than they're displaying in whatever it is they're trying to display. So what does that do? When I am being human to them, they realize that what they're being fed is not true. What they're being fed is a caricature of something, but not the true human that I am. So I'm seeing my rage-filled friends from the other side of the aisle coming to me going, I'm tired, man. I'm tired of it. Is there something we can root for together? And that's what I feel like is a great first step. You know what I did? One of my best friends on planet Earth, completely, we grew up together, and then suddenly 2020, when I started talking about racial reconciliation and all of these things, my brother was like, I'm out. I can't deal with you anymore. And I'm like, he literally canceled me, his best friend, because I'm just standing up for who I am. Do you know what I decided to do? I said, we're not going to talk about this stuff, but we're going to buy season tickets to the Tennessee Titans, and we're going to force ourselves to sit together every Sunday, and we're going to cheer for the same team. And can I tell you what? No, we have not come to reconciling opinions on things, but our relationship is healed because we started cheering for something together, rooting for something together, as simple as a horrible football team this year, but we're doing it together, and it's beginning to heal us. And I just feel like, I'm telling you, Tavis, more and more people I talk to, They are. They're like, I'm tired. I'm tired of people telling me to hate you. I'm tired of people telling me to hate them. I'm ready for us to figure out how to walk together, even though we have differences of opinions, very drastic difference of opinions, even to the point where I believe that there's people that are dehumanizing other people that we can still, because who's going to change them if it ain't us? Yeah. Who's going to change the dehumanizing person if somebody doesn't walk with them? And that's my call in this book, How to Human, is really, it's going to be up to us. Those of us that want to see humanity change for the betterment, we can't wait for them to do it. They're not going to do it. We got to do it ourselves.
Let me ask you then, this is a broad question. It's a big question, I admit, and I don't like asking questions that are too generalist in nature, but I want to go here because I think there may be something here to interrogate. And that is your read of the state of the human condition. And let me put that another way that might be more accessible. Who are we really? Who are we really? I know the ideals, the IDEALS, the ideals that we profess. But I see these crazy ideas, IDEAS, that we embrace. And I'm not sure, as a member of the human race, that I have a handle on the state of the human condition. Who are we really? How would you answer that question?
Yeah. I would answer that by going directly to moments of crisis, which you open the show with. Like, why does it take collective trauma for us to figure out that we've got to fix things, right?
Yeah.
So I like to go back to, and honestly, like I like to go back, like pre-social media, any trauma that happened. So let's go back to 9/11. I think at 9/11, and I think when those towers collapsed, okay, people automatically sprinted into the dust. People automatically went running in to rescue. As people were running in, nobody was like, "Hey, can you tell me before I go rescue you from that rubble? Can you please let me know who you voted for? Can you please let me know like if you got a vaccine or if you wear a mask? Like no. Like nobody pulled out their phones on 9/11 and said, well, before I go rescue somebody, I'm going to write out a 3-page thesis on whose fault this is, and then I'm going to no. We just sprinted into the dust, and I feel like that is who we are. And we're not that far removed from it. But, the problem is we've got too much access to be able to give an opinion before we can run into rescue. And more people are concerned about giving an opinion on a topic as opposed to moving past that opinion and just into the rubble to rescue, right? All of these issues that people are very opinionated about, that we're riled up about, that we vehemently disagree about. The reason why we vehemently disagree about these things is because no matter who you are, you believe that you know the right way to approach a problem, because all of these things are approaching problems. You just got people with different viewpoints as to how to get there. The difference is, and why I believe we collectively as a human race are built as rescuers, is whenever there's trauma that happens immediately in front of us, we don't have a gathering or a meeting or, in order to figure out like how are we going to go. No, we just run. Like when I was a kid, I was getting a haircut in Decatur, Georgia. I had, he was sculpting my little Gary Coleman afro. He was with the Clippers, and there was a man that went sprinting by the window. I'll never forget this moment. And so my barber's clipping my hair, and I'm in a mall, right? And a man goes sprinting by the window with a kid in his arms. And then I heard someone screaming, and my mom hears someone screaming, and a woman comes running by him. And suddenly I saw like 3 men go sprinting by the window, and then another man, and then like these 2 kind of skinny redneck guys, and then like a big black guy, and then my Italian barber dropped his clippers, ran out, and they all ran out after this kidnapper, and they caught him, right? And again, as these men were chasing this kidnapper, ain't nobody asking each other what they believed about all of these issues. They were just chasing after the bad guy to rescue the kid. And I believe that is intrinsically a reflex inside of the human condition that we just have to dig a little to uncover. It's still there.
You mentioned racial reconciliation earlier, and on this program last week around the King holiday, we unpacked in all 3 hours of our program. I'm on 3 hours a day, 9 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific time. And King talked, as you may know, in his final years about what he called the triple threat facing our democracy. That triple threat, as Dr. King laid out, is racism, poverty, and militarism. Racism, poverty, and militarism. And here we are all these years, 55 years, in fact, after his assassination, 60 years this year since the March on Washington, still wrestling with racism, poverty, and militarism. So I made this comment last week on this program, Carlos, that racism, to my mind, may very well be the most intractable issue in this country, the most intractable, the issue of racism. And so here you come today, a week later, raising this issue of racial reconciliation. I'm coming to that because I want to draw a link, if I can, between racial reconciliation as an example, as one issue, and the frame that you lay out in this book, that you don't stand on issues, you walk with people. I'm wondering if on issues of racial reconciliation and others, this notion of walking with people rather than standing on issues would advance humanity, would advance our conversation in any meaningful way. Does that question make sense to you?
Yeah, I think it does. No, I think it does. And I need to again preface this that, a statement that can go on a bumper sticker or a T-shirt like "I don't stand on issues, walk with people" has to be unpacked, right?
Sure.
It can't just stand on its own without some sort of structure.
Yeah, I say not to cut you off. I say all the time that slogans are not solutions. Slogans are not solutions, and that's why I'm raising this, because I'm wrestling with this frame. I don't stand on issues, I walk with people. I'm wrestling with it because I'm trying to figure out whether or not that frame could be used to get people to understand better the notion of racial reconciliation and a litany of other things. I digress. Take it away.
Yes. Okay. So I don't stand on issues, I walk with people. In order for anybody, right? So like say my friend Jamie and his grandpa, who's the most racist man in Nashville, Tennessee. Jamie's like, "Hey, Carlos, like there's no, the man is always going to be what he is, right? Like how am I going to help my 88-year-old grandpa that every time he sees a black man on the TV, he calls the black man the N-word? Like how am I going to, help that?" Right. And so I'm like, "Hey, listen, like you can either walk with him, or you could be like, it's no use. We're never going to change him. I may as well just change the generation." And I think to myself, what a travesty! Like what a travesty that there is still a human soul that is living a mile from me in Nashville, Tennessee. That if I were to walk in his house, his skin would crawl. But I have a friend of mine that's like, "You know what? I'm just not going to walk with him because I just think that it's too late. He's too far gone." No, like nobody's going to change unless we walk with them. Not one person is going to change if I send them an email. Not one person is going to change if I argue with them on Twitter. Not one person's none of that stuff is going to help change anything unless I develop relationship. Now, here's the caveat. We've got to. You can't. These relationships and walking with people, you have to have your own mental health. You have to have your own protection over who you are. There are going to be some people that I'm not going to walk with people. Carlos, living in Nashville, Tennessee, is not going to get on a Reddit forum today. Go find out the latest KKK rally that's going to probably meet on Tuesday night, 40 minutes outside of Nashville, and walk in there and go, "Hey, Carlos, hey guys, my name's Carlos. I'm here to walk with you." Like that's not smart, right? That's not intelligent.
Right.
But there are people that may not be at that rally that I worship with every Sunday, that believe those same things, that unless they are with me, unless they are walking closely with me, they are never, ever going to shift. They're never, ever going to move. Is it my responsibility to change everybody's mind, all the racists that live around me? No, it's not my responsibility. But if I don't take some responsibility, like all during 2020, I was tired, man. I was tired of teaching all my white friends about what they can do for the black community because they were all coming to me. Like most of my platform is like white conservative evangelicals, and they're following this black left-leaning, Southerner. Yeah. And so suddenly I became this educator. I mean, I was tired, but then I just kept coming back to the idea of I started to see people shift. I started to see people change.
I'm sorry. Let me cut in there 1 second, Carlos. Let me get some news, traffic, and sports out of the way. I want you to finish that thought, and we'll come to a great deal more in this conversation about this book called "How to Human: 3 Ways to Share Life Beyond What Distracts, Divides, and Disconnects Us." Carlos Whitaker is the author. He's on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where we turn red lights to green lights and keep it moving.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. 3 people are dead after a shooting in the central part of Washington state. It happened early this morning in Yakima, located about 150 miles southeast of Seattle. A 4th person is injured and a search now on for the suspect. A new poll shows President Biden is enjoying more public support. The survey from Emerson College put Biden's approval rating at 44%. It's up 5 points from November. In Florida, a Tallahassee official promises to, in his words, fight like hell to make sure African-American history continues to be a part of American history. That's what City Commissioner Curtis Richardson, who is black, said yesterday at Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. He was responding to the state's decision to reject an advanced placement African-American history course. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Seeing the top as you travel through Mid-City, taking that 10 west at Fairfax, Venice. Left lane with a crash. We're busy as far back as Vermont. Norwalk, kind of sluggish here on that 605 north at Firestone Boulevard. Stalled vehicle in the second lane from the left. As you get to the 105, you're on or off the brakes. Long Beach, a couple of times. The 710 south at Delamo Boulevard. Stalled vehicle in the left lane, slow from Rosecrans. And then the 710 north at PCH. Wreck onto the right shoulder, partially blocking the off-ramp there. Cerritos on the 91 west at Bloomfield. A crash taking up the on-ramp here. They've issued a SIG alert. Looks like that involves a tractor trailer.
Did you get your free tire at Big O Tires? That's right. Now through January 29th, buy 3 select tires, get the 4th tire free with paid installation. Wet weather means slippery roads, so what are you waiting for? Buy 3 tires, get 1 free. Now at your neighborhood Big O Tires. For your nearest store, visit BigOTires.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers and Clippers meet up tonight at Crypto.com. A couple of important questions for the Clippers. Will Kawhi Leonard and Paul George play? And do the Clippers have enough defense for LeBron James? Since turning 38 on December 30th, LeBron is averaging 35.1 points. Things are looking up a little bit for the Lakers. In their last 4 games, they are 3-1 and only 1 game from qualifying for the play-in tournament. They're just 2 games away from the 6th seed in the Western Conference, currently occupied by the Clippers. And don't forget, Anthony Davis is coming back soon. Top 5 men's college basketball teams in this week's AP poll: Purdue, Alabama, Houston, Tennessee, and Kansas State. UCLA fell from 5th to 8th after Saturday's loss at Arizona. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. Stay with us for more news, opinions, and conversation on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
When you're the victim of a car accident, hiring the right law firm can be the difference between a rewarding settlement and striking out. Call the pros at MVP Accident Attorneys at 833-MVP-WINS for your free consultation.
Call on me, your MVP.
Look. Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
Hey, where did you get all that cash?
You mean this $750?
Yes, that $750. Where did you get all that cash?
Since it's January, I went to JanuaryCash45.com and got $750.
You got $750?
Yes. Just go to JanuaryCash45.com this month and follow the simple instructions on the site. Once you finish, the $750 is yours.
It's that easy to get $750?
It's January, so yes. You just answer the basic questions on the site, pick from the deals they show you, and get $750 sent to you by direct deposit or any of the major money apps like Venmo or PayPal.
I'm always short on cash. I'm going to JanuaryCash45.com right now to get my $750.
Ready to get your $750 in January? Get started right now at JanuaryCash45.com. So go to JanuaryCash45.com. Just go to JanuaryCash45.com. Follow the simple instructions and get your $750 fast and easy. Go to JanuaryCash45.com. That's JanuaryCash45.com. It's January. Don't wait. Go to JanuaryCash45.com. JanuaryCash45.com. JanuaryCash45.com.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tavis Smiley. You are listening to KBLA Talk 1580. So glad to have you with us in this hour. There's a whole lot to talk about. Our guest is Carlos Whitaker. His book is called How to Human. How to Human. 3 ways to share life beyond what distracts, divides, and disconnects us. These are, as we've been discussing in this hour, crazy times, crazy people, more agitated than ever. We're fighting, we're wrestling with these big issues. Can't seem to agree on anything, as it were. Less connected, one could argue, than ever before. And I would add to that list that social media has made us even less connected because we don't talk anymore. Everything is text and typed and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're experiencing a perfect storm in many ways of debilitating anxiety, crashing relationships, forgetting what it feels like to just be human. Hence the book, How to Human. 3 ways to share life beyond what distracts, divides, and disconnects us. Hence our conversation with the author of that book, Carlos Whitaker, on KBLA Talk 1580. Carlos, I want to actually ask you about a couple of things, including this great story about the piano player at the airport. You know where I'm going with that in a second. We'll get to that story, which I found just to be really just it was spirit lifting to coming to the knowledge of that particular story. But before news, traffic, and sports, you were finishing up, you got cut off by the clock. You were finishing up this notion of explaining why you think that this frame of not standing on issues but walking with people can, in fact, be realized by each of us. And there are people in every one of our lives that we can walk with in daily life to show them a sort of better way. Finish your point on that, then we'll move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Relationship is going to be the only way to move forward. Like you said, just putting up a post and giving your opinion and arguing with someone in the comment section isn't going to be it. And it actually, if you think about it, when you walk, I like to tell people this all the time. When you walk, a human being, the average speed of someone walking is 3 miles an hour. And I believe that is the pace at which we're going to have to see this healing happen. Even the pace at which I'm speaking right now is driving your listeners crazy because I'm going too slow. It's just like, come on, Carlos, get to the point. And it's just like, no, like, in order to be fully human and walk with people, we're going to have to slow down. And I just think that if we can get more of that piece of who we are as humans, we get more into the walking with people conversations, the walking with people that don't look like us, think like us, vote like us, love like us, eat like us, all of those things. If we can begin to expand our curiosity, which will lead to expanding our empathy, that is going to be the only way for people to truly see, right? Truly see.
But we live in a world where everything is faster, not slower. I mean, these social media, these smart devices I referenced a moment ago, say nothing of social media. Everything moves at warp speed. So here you come now with this framework, not staying on issues, but walking with people. I get it. But in a world where you want us to slow down, everything is at a rapid pace. How do you juxtapose those two things?
You know what I do? I mean, let's get real practical. What I do is every day, every evening, I plug my phone in the kitchen before I go to bed. And what does that do? That puts me to sleep without me scrolling for an hour on my phone and continuing to consume the amount of content that I don't think human souls were created to consume at the capacity we consume it. So that's one way to slow down. Another thing I did, I went to Walmart and I bought myself this thing called an alarm clock. They actually still sell these things. You put it next to your bed. All that thing does in the morning is it just wakes me up. It doesn't tell me that someone hates me. It doesn't tell me these horrible things. It just wakes me up. And something else I do, I subscribed to a local newspaper. Now, this is crazy. The crazy thought. Like, I don't know who drives by my house in a Trans Am at 5:30 a.m. and throws it, but every single morning I walk out and there is my news, and I read my news in the morning with a cup of coffee, and I don't read my news on my phone anymore. I've decided to not do that anymore. So what are all these things doing? I'm just purposely and with intention slowing the amount of content that I consume every single day, and it really has, Tavis. Just those 3 things has made me feel so much more, give me so much more leverage and appreciation for the relationships I have, because now I've got more room in my soul for other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What is I love this book title I said earlier, How to Human. what is your greatest fear about the future of humanity? I mean, one can watch movies, see all kinds of films that, wrestle with this. I mean, this is Hollywood's been doing this for years, right? One can read books, one can, read the tea leaves, as it were, read the handwriting on the wall.
Yeah.
But where do you think humanity is headed in the coming years?
I'll tell you, the fear that I have is that if we don't course correct where we're heading, which is why I wrote the book, if we don't course correct where we're heading, and again, I don't think it's a big course correction. I think it may be 1%. I think it could be 0.5%. We're not that far off, right? But we've been knocked off course. And if we don't course correct, in 10 years, it may not feel like we're that far off. But you know what? If a ship is only 1 degree off from its course, in 10 miles, they're not going to be able to tell that they're off. But in 100 miles, they're going to be 10 miles off course. And in 1,000 miles, they're going to be 100 miles off course. And my fear is if we just go like, it's no big deal, it's just 1%, then in 100 years, we're going to be way farther off than we ever thought we could be. So that's why I'm like, guys, listen, it's just 1%. It's a small shift. If we shift it now, I feel like we can get back to where we're supposed to be.
Yep. It seems to me, and again, going through your book, I kind of wrestle with this in interrogating the text. It seems to me that being human at its best, being human ought to be a joyful experience. I don't believe God brings any of us into the world to be full of rage and fear and anxiety and depression and despondency and angst. I could go on and on and on. I believe that we are intended to be joyful beings, and yet just navigating life for everyday people. Say nothing of women who have to deal with patriarchy and sexism. Say nothing of people of color, black folk in particular, who have to deal with racism and discrimination. Nothing of older people who have to deal with ageism. I can run the list. You take my point. But it seems to me that being fully human these days is tough to do, particularly if you are intent on being joyful, which is, again, how I see what humanity ought to be about. It ought to be a joyful experience. But there's a big disconnect, a big divide between living a joyful life and just trying to navigate through life, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. It does. And I think that knowing that we live in a fallen world, it is, it's chaos. But I think if we look at the historical context, right, if we look 400 years ago, things have gotten progressively, they're not there yet, but progressively better. So, when people say things are as bad as they've ever been, I can't say that that's actually true, because there's not people running down my street with swords chopping my head off because of what I believe, right? But so things have gotten progressively, a little bit at a time better. But here's where I think we can exist in a world that is fallen, where we may feel invisible, and there's women that are having to battle, rights issues at work, and there's, black folk are still having to battle like racism subliminally or like right there in your face on a daily basis. The trick for me in these moments of depression and anxiety and pain and sorrow and all the things that I feel every single day is when I actively see another human being for who they are and let them know that I see them. You know what that does for me? It actually frees me and brings me joy. So if I'm stuck in a place where no one is bringing me joy, when I bring somebody else joy, it is actually the thing that is going to fuel my joy. Which, we were leading into an example with the piano man, Tony, and there's a whole bunch of other examples where every day it's a goal of mine to see somebody that is invisible to everybody else. And when they see me see them, oh my gosh, that brings some joy, like a joy bomb in my heart. So if you're not feeling that joy, go see somebody that's invisible. Let them know that they're seen, and I promise you, your heart's going to begin to explode.
I want to talk about Tony, the piano man, when we come forward. This is quite an amazing story. So Carlos Whitaker is making his way through an airport one day. He runs into a guy playing the piano. I'll let him tell the story, what happens next, when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Be sure to like and follow Tavis Smiley at The Real Tavis Smiley and get Twitter updates at Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Are you looking to steer your career in a new direction? Driving for Culver City Bus can be your ticket to a long-lasting career with excellent benefits and paid training. Looking for customer service and safety-minded bus operators to join the growing Culver City Bus team, offering on-the-job training starting at $19.10 per hour, uniform allowance, and health benefits. Culver City Bus, a great employer. Let us connect you with an essential service job. If you enjoy driving, seek real opportunities for a career change, and are passionate about making a difference in the community, we invite you to join the team. Start your journey by submitting an application at culvercity.org/jobs. For more information, visit culvercitybus.com or call 310-253-6500. Again, 310-253-6500.
Representative Sheila Jackson Lee wants to criminalize hate speech with the new proposed bill. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News. Representative Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas has introduced the Leading Against White Supremacy Act of 2023. This act looks to place criminal charges on people who share hate speech. Congress.gov states that the bill will prevent and prosecute white supremacy-inspired hate crime and conspiracy to commit white supremacy-inspired hate crime and to amend Title 18 U.S. Code to expand the scope of hate crimes. Those engaging in hate speech could still face criminal charges even if they don't act on the threats. This bill further proposes penalties for anyone publishing material advancing white supremacy, white supremacist ideology, or hate speech that vilifies or is otherwise directed against any non-white person or group and such published material. I'm Maisha Cairo, and that's it for your K-Black Minute News.
Central Neighborhood Health Foundation is a full-service network of federally qualified health care centers that serves local communities throughout Los Angeles, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. CNHF clinics provide low-cost to no-cost, compassionate, comprehensive, quality health care, which includes primary care services for chronic disease and diabetes management, pediatric and women's services, preventive care, vision and dental screenings, COVID-19 testing and vaccines, flu vaccines, behavioral health, HIV, and substance use services. Virtual telehealth visits are available from the comfort of your home with highly qualified physicians and medical professionals. CNHF also provides peer support specialist training and help with housing navigation. Central Neighborhood Health Foundation. Your wellness is our priority. Comprehensive care built on trust and respect. For more information, visit cnhfclinics.org or call 213-536-5815 today to locate a clinic near you.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Hey!
It's hard to step on Anita Baker. She sounds so good. I hate stepping on her. But my time is getting tight. But it was a great opportunity to play a little bit of that. You Bring Me Joy. We are talking about joyful living as human beings and how to human. 3 ways to share life beyond what distracts, divides, and disconnects us. I'm getting messages from some friends right now who are letting me know that there's breaking news on the Capitol, on the floor of the House. Kevin McCarthy has pledged, when he became Speaker, to deny Representative Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota. He pledged to deny her a seat on the Foreign Affairs Committee. And apparently there are Republicans starting to speak up now, including one Victoria Sparks of my home state of Indiana, saying that she will not support Speaker Kevin McCarthy's effort to deny Representative Omar a seat on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, making it more difficult for the leader as he looks to follow through on his pledge again to not seat Omar on the panel. Sparks also says she opposes McCarthy's vow to block Representative Adam Schiff of California, who we know well, friend of this program, and Eric Swalwell of California from the House Intelligence Committee. So this rancor back and forth. So McCarthy wins the speakership, which you heard Carlos Whitaker reference earlier in this conversation, and literally in real time, there are Republicans now starting to say they're not going to support him in his effort to not seat certain people who he doesn't like, including Representative Adam Schiff, Representative Eric Swalwell, and Representative Ilhan Omar. We will see how this all works out, but there's something, again, wrong about this sort of distraction, divisiveness, and disconnection where you want to score points and do tit for tat and not seat people on committees that they are qualified and have otherwise sat on heretofore, including great Americans like Adam Schiff. So that sort of distraction, that sort of divide, that sort of disconnect continues, but there is some joyful news there that Republicans, not all of them at least, are joining him in his effort to get retribution against certain Democrats on the other side of the aisle. Again, since Carlos Whitaker mentioned that earlier in the hour, that is to say, mentioning the circus that was getting Kevin McCarthy the gavel as Speaker, timely news there that ties quite nicely in this conversation. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Carlos Whitaker, we'll get him to tell the story of Tony the Piano Man. Carlos's book is called How to Human. 3 ways to share life beyond what distracts, divides, and disconnects us. Tony the Piano Man story when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Courage is contagious. We're KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a whole lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. Today I spoke with Tatiana, a community manager for JP Morgan Chase.
Thank you so much. Yes, my name is Tatiana Roberts. I am a community manager for JP Morgan Chase. I have to honestly say that this has been the most fulfilling position that I've ever had, where I get to give back to the community because I saw my mom's struggles. That's really what fuels what I do to make sure that the community has all the access to the resources that my mother didn't have.
So for the mother who's in business, what are 3 quick tips you can give to ensure that they're on the right path to accessing financial support from a bank like Chase?
Say number 1, just make sure that you're checking your credit on a consistent basis and taking action to either fix your credit, maintain your credit, or rebuild your credit. The second thing would be budget. I know that B word is kind of like ugly right? A lot of people don't like that B word, but it has to be done. We need to tell our money where to go. The last thing is to build a network of supporters that are going to lift you up.
The community building here in Crenshaw is that network. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Periods don't care what you're doing, but your pad should. Get Always Triple Protection System in Always Day and Night Pads. Always Day Pads protect when active by wicking away gushes 2 times faster than leading store brands and giving us up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort. When we size up our pad at night, we get the same triple protection, plus up to 75% more coverage in the back for when we're laying down. No matter what, Always has you covered, day and night.
Let's unpack a little bit more with Tavis Smiley. The conversation continues right now.
Got about 4 minutes left in conversation with our guest in this hour, the author of How to Human, 3 ways to share life beyond what distracts, divides, and disconnects us. Carlos Whitaker, tell me the story right quick of Tony the Piano Man.
Absolutely. First of all, we need to send a copy of How to Human to every congressperson on Capitol Hill. Well, maybe they can figure it out.
Yeah. Let's do that.
And let's do that. I was in the airport in Atlanta, and I was, laying over Terminal A, and I noticed that there was a man playing the piano with like his entire soul. Everything was going, and every single person around him was staring at their phone. Every single person was not paying attention to what he was doing, and he had about $15 in his tip jar. So at the time, I had about 150,000 Instagram followers that I called the Insta Familia. And I said, hey, you know what? We're about to give this man the biggest tip of his life. Now, I thought we were maybe going to raise $1,000. I thought, but this would be cool. Let's give him $1,000. So I asked him his story. He's got kidney disease. We kind of hit it off. And then I started live streaming him on my Instagram. Well, let me tell you, in 30 minutes, we gave him a $10,000 tip. And then within 24 hours, he had $72,000 as a tip. And can I tell you something, Mr. Tony, the piano man, his life was changed because all these random strangers saw him. And then that's not the end, right? The book is 3 parts: be human, see humans, free humans. It's not enough just to see somebody. You got to free them. How can you free them? And so we found a way to free him financially, and we became best friends, and Tony became like another father to me. But that's what we did, and what I love about that story is people on the left, people on the right, people on the up and down. It don't matter what, they came together to rescue and see somebody. And I just believe that it's possible for all of us.
Well, I can tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get me a keyboard, and I'm going to get your flight itinerary. I'm going to set up in whatever terminal you're flying out of.
Let's go.
Just call me Tavis the Piano Man. I'm going to be Tavis the Piano Man.
Tavis.
And I'm going to set up in whatever terminal you're flying out of and see if I can get your attention. Get me some tips.
I'll find you. The Insta Familia loves Tavis.
I love it. What did that say to you, Carlos, about not just your followers and the way they responded to you, but about the power of humanity to respond to human need?
Yes, that rescue happens in community far greater than it happens as an individual. So if you can start finding yourself, whether that be a church group, a workout group, whatever it is, where you can start doing good together, the reciprocity of how much it can exponentially grow is just so much faster. And so, again, I watched us give him $70,000. And you know what it did also for me, Tavis? It made me go, well, you know what? I take your $70,000 Insta Familia and I raise you $150. Let's see what happens. Can we do this for somebody else? And since that day, my Instagram followers, who I poll them once a month, lean 53% left, 47% right. Literally, that's how my Instagram followers lean. Now it's 256,000 of them. We have given away over $2.5 million on Venmo just to random strangers. Just this week on Martin Luther King Day, I walked into a Waffle House and asked every single Waffle House employee what their dream was. They told me their dream. 24 hours later, I walked in and gave every single staff member $20,000 each from the Insta Familia. And this is what we can do when we come and work together. We're far more powerful together than we ever are alone. So that's what I believe is the powerful point of humanity.
Note to Tavis: hang out in airports, hang out at Waffle House.
At Waffle House.
Yeah. I see Trevor Lawrence ain't the only one going to the Waffle House. For those of you football fans,
that's right. It ain't just Trevor.
It ain't just Trevor. His name is Carlos Whitaker. I've enjoyed this immensely. His book is called How to Human: 3 Ways to Share Life Beyond What Distracts, Divides, and Disconnects Us. Carlos, you're a good man, brother. I enjoyed this conversation. Congrats on the book. Keep doing the great work and witness that you are engaged in. A delight to have had you on this program, sir.
Thank you so much, Tavis. My honor.
My great honor. Hour 3 of Tavis Smiley when we come forward after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information